Welcome to Retro Upgrade. We'll be continuing with this Vectrex this time. I got some goodies from AliExpress. They arrived a few days ago. These are dual wipe sockets for chips, just in case if I have to desolder one. I don't want to be soldering and desoldering from old PCBs because they break. The dual wipe means it has contacts on both sides of the pin, so it's better contact. A single wipe are really bad, but there are different kinds. There are round hole ones as well. I also got these. These are 40 pin round sockets, so these are a lot better. These are still sockets, obviously. The kit didn't come with 40 pins, so I had to order them separately, and I found these on AliExpress. These look really nice. The actual pin connectors on the bottom are really rigid and nice, so this looks to be better quality. They're still quite cheap, so if you can find all the sizes in round hole, go for that instead. And then the star of the show, the 6522 chips from AliExpress. So there is a issue on AliExpress that sometimes you get false chips or fake chips. So these chips are MOS branded, but they are obviously rebranded. That's not the real MOS logo, and the date code is the same on all of them. These are original ones. The one on the bottom to the right is very close to this design though, so that's probably what they use as a template. Usually if you buy chips from AliExpress, you get the chip you want, but they rebrand it with they put new silk screen on them. They just take a lot of 6522s because they are a lot of versions of it, and they just put the same marking on all of them. A good way to test for fakes is using pure acetone. That usually rubs away the markings. If they've used a laser engraver to do the etching, that means obviously that they put in some effort, and usually they don't fake them. They just rebrand the good stuff. They can still be bad though, because they are salvage mostly. This seems to be laser etched. They are quite dirty, so that means they have been in a warehouse for some time. So it doesn't look like they are fakes, at least, just looking at that. Taking off a 40 pin socketed chip is quite hard without bending the pins. I managed to do that here, so that's fine. But it is a pain. As you can see, the marking has rubbed away. I have double checked on the schematics, and it is a 6522. I have the pin out to the left here, and what I'm going to do is use the red probe on ground and then start probing around. So what I'm looking for is differences in the pins. For example, here you can see a chart I made. The one to the left is the AliExpress one, and the original is to the right. So measuring the VCC pin, for example, it should be lower than the CR2 pin right above it, or the PB pins. Most pins are the same. There can be some differences between manufacturers, so you shouldn't look at the actual values. Now a quick word from my sponsor, PCBWay. They've helped the channel a lot. I hope they will continue doing so. Visit their site now to get your prototypes manufactured for a very decent price. €5 for 10 PCBs is awesome. I ordered a few PCBs and they will be in upcoming videos. For any manufacturing needs, just visit PCBWay.com. They have a lot of cool stuff to choose from: CNC, 3D printing, PCBs, and a lot more. Visit them now at PCBWay.com. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, so I socketed in the new chip. Hopefully it's just this that's wrong with the machine. It's been a pain because it's really hard to troubleshoot this thing. I found a schematic, so it helps a lot. Okay, so let's try to turn this on. Let's hook it in, and I still get the dot. Okay, so there's something else wrong with this thing. Okay, time for some more troubleshooting. Okay, so I went over all the address lines one by one, and all the data lines all one by one, and they all connect to where they should go. So that seems to be fine. Now I'm looking for shorts. So there could be a short in one of the chips internally. That can happen. But measuring like this with a multimeter, it makes it quite hard to understand what's going on. So you have to be careful because the CRT is charged with high voltage. Okay, so I thought maybe I would take out the PCB. So I need to desolder the connector here. It's a pain to desolder, unfortunately, because they are thick pads and stuff. So it took me a few attempts. I used some solder wick, and that worked quite well, actually. It cleaned out the holes quite nicely. I didn't rip any pads. That's an important one on old PCBs because it's super hard to not rip any pads. This connector actually is connected to the transformer, so to get loose the entire PCB from or my main board from the chassis, I have to remove that. So okay, so I'm going to remove the ROM chip because it didn't give any signals at all. I tested it with my oscilloscope and I didn't get any data signals at all from the ROM chip. That's the chip that holds the program that starts when you start it up, or it's the BIOS pretty much. It comes with a game and some pre-initiation stuff. I found an image of the ROM chip on the web. I used my El Cheapo solder sucker. It did a pretty decent job of sucking out all the solder. So what I did next is just go through all the pins again and again until I can fill them loose with some tweezers, and hopefully not rip a pad or two when I pull this one out. This is a tedious thing if you don't have a real solder sucker like the vacuum ones. So some of the pins were extremely annoying to get off, but finally it came off. No pads ripped. So this is awesome. So the first thing I did after was clean off the PCB, of course, just to check for rips. I don't want to pull off any pads or anything. There were a few discolored traces, so I just beeped them out, and they seem to be fine. So the actual ROM chip that's on this thing is so old I can't actually find a data sheet for it. But there are some very smart people on the web, and they recommended the 2764 EPROMs or EEPROMs. So the EEPROMs are electrically erasable, and the other ones are UV erasable. And these are 64 kbytes. So they're really small, but the entire BIOS fits in it, so it's fine. So I tried to read the chip here. It's also pin compatible with the same chip, so you can just use it to read, but it reads all Fs. That's usually a good indicator of the ROM chip is dead. This is over 42 years old, so that doesn't surprise me. The Vectrex came out in 1981-82, so it's really old. Just as old as me, actually. Okay, so reading in the chip didn't help. So I need to get some ROM chips. The chip that's on there is just write once or read-only memory. So I need to buy some rewritable ones and then get back to this project. I'll release a video very shortly after this. I haven't been able to make videos in a long time because of my back and the medication I have. But I've already bought the chips, and I actually got some chips that could be compatible from Richard. So I'm going to try to program those. I also borrowed the programmer from Richard from Learn Electronics Repair. Hopefully I can get this thing working, because I have 2 project videos I need to do for PCBWay. But we'll try to get the next video out in a few days. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.